If you are looking to build your PC and you do not want any bottlenecks, you just want the best performance for the price, you came to the right video, because I will show you 4 different systems for different budgets. So it doesn't matter if your budget is $700 or is $2,000, your budget will be covered in this video, and I will also explain everything as simple as possible. That way, if you're a beginner, you understand what type of performance you're getting out of these PCs. Now, if your budget is not on this video, it will be in the video description alongside every PC I will mention on this one. So the different budgets you will see in this video will be $750, $1,000, $1,500 and $2,000. But in the description you will see a $500 PC, a $1,200 one, a $2,500 one, then another one for $3,000 and the best one being $4,000. So when I mean every budget is covered, every budget is covered. That being said, let's start. With the first PC we have the $700 starting PC that's capable of 1080p high FPS and also 1440p gaming. Yes, it's actually a really capable 1440p computer and the price is great. You get the Ryzen 5 5600 for the CPU and the RX 6700 XT for the GPU. This graphics card has 12 GB of VRAM and is more than capable of 1440p gaming, like I said before. For you to have an idea of how powerful this GPU is for the price, you can run Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, which is one of the most high demanding titles out there, at 1440p ultra settings, 40 FPS on average, which trust me is insane for the price that you're paying. Then for another high demanding title, Cyberpunk 2077 at 1440p high quality settings, you get an average of 60 FPS. And if you want to play at 1080p, there's no doubt you can run every title with higher FPS. So on a 13 game average, the RX 6700 XT was able to manage 80 FPS at 1440p ultra settings. So if you want to play easy to run titles, there's no doubt you will get more than 144 FPS on average at 1440p and more than 240 FPS at 1080p. But just remember, even at 1440p, you're able to achieve 240 FPS depending on the settings. For the rest of the components, you get a really balanced system with the Thermalright Assassin 120 for the CPU cooler, which is actually not necessary. The Ryzen 5 5600 can get away with the stock cooler, so if you want to save around $20, you can do that with no issues. Then you get the Gigabyte B550M DS3H for the motherboard, nothing too crazy, but enough for gaming. You get 16 GB of RAM, 2x8 of silicon power, and if you want 32 GB of RAM because you want to do streaming, you can spend another 20 or 30 extra bucks, which I recommend doing because it's not a ton of money and you will get the extra performance if you're planning on doing multitasking. Then you get a terabyte of Gen 4 SSD, the Bitfinex Nova mesh for the case, which is a great case with 3 pre-installed fans, and a mesh front panel, which is great for the airflow for just $60. And for the power supply, we have the Apivia Prestige 600 watt 80 plus cold power supply for just $52. So at the end, the total price by the time that I'm recording this video is $744. Maybe when you're watching this it's more expensive. I do recommend you checking the latest prices in the description. With the next one, we have the $1,000 1440p/4K gaming PC. You can run every title at 1440p, really high FPS, but you can also start playing at 4K with no issues. We have the same Ryzen 5 5600, but we have the RX 6800 XT. This graphics card is around 40% faster than the 6700 XT, which is an insane increase in performance. On an 18 game average at 1440p high quality settings, the 6800 XT was able to manage 157 FPS, which is insane for a $1,000 PC. And then at 4K, it was able to manage 93 FPS, which is actually really good for 4K resolution. So like I said before, 1440p really high FPS or 4K, no matter your resolution, the 6800 XT is a great choice, and on top of this, it has 16 GB of VRAM, which is way more than enough even for 4K gaming. And the esports titles that I mentioned before, you will be able to run even at 4K 240 plus FPS on average. So in my opinion, it's really worth the upgrade over the last one, especially if you want to play at 1440p ultra settings or you want to start playing at 4K in the future. Now, the rest of the components are the same except for the memory, motherboard and power supply. For the memory, we have the Silicon Power Gaming 32 GB of RAM kit, Then for the motherboard, we have the Gigabyte B550M, Aorus Elite Micro ATX motherboard. Then for the power supply, we have the Thermalright Smart BX1 750 80 Plus bronze power supply, which has enough wattage for the system and it won't explode, which is the most important part. So overall, for $1,007 by the time that I'm recording this video, this is a great choice. If you want to keep the price under $1,000, then I do recommend you not putting any aftermarket CPU cooler and saving $20 or so, but it's not that big of a difference in terms of price, and you will be getting a better cooling solution. Then with the next one, we have a $1,500 PC, and here I was able to get more creative with the budget. We get much better performance. In my opinion, this is already a high-end gaming PC because you get the Ryzen 5 7600, which is a whole new platform, and you get the RX 7900 XT, which is one of the best GPUs from AMD. It has 20 gigs of VRAM and it's around 30% faster than the RX 6800 XT from the last system. In my opinion, this is the limit for 1440p gaming and it's the best 1440p GPU out there alongside the RTX 4070 Ti, but this one has more VRAM. So if you just want the best performance for 1440p gaming and you also want an upgradable system over time because of the new platform, I would recommend you buying this one if you have the budget to. If you're a beginner and you do not understand this platform thing, basically because you get the Ryzen 5 7600 and a motherboard from the AM5 platform, down the line you will be able to upgrade to new CPUs coming out from AMD in the next couple years, which in my opinion is very important if you will upgrade your GPU down the line and you want a faster CPU. Now the Ryzen 5 7600 from this PC build is way more than enough for the RX 7900 XT, especially at this price point, and it doesn't consume much power, which is really nice. For the CPU cooler, we have the Deepcool AK400, which is just a $35 CPU cooler that will be more than enough for this Ryzen 5. Then for the motherboard, we have the Gigabyte B650M K Micro ATX AM5 motherboard. This one is nothing too crazy, but it will get the job done. Then for the memory kit, we have the TeamGroup T-Grade Expert 32 gigs of RAM kit of DDR5 memory at 6000 MHz CL38. Then we have a terabyte of Gen 4 SSD, which you can upgrade to 2 TB right now or down the line, depending on how much storage you need. Then for the case, I went with the Deepcool CG560 ATX mid-tower case. Now this is my personal favorite in terms of looks and price and also airflow. You can always choose another one if you don't like this one, but I think this one is a great one. And last but not least, the power supply, we have the Corsair RM750E. This is a 750 watt 80 plus gold power supply, 80 rated, so for this build it will be amazing. The total price by the time that I'm recording this video is $1,475. Not bad for a PC that can play at 4K, really high FPS. And if you want the highest FPS at 4K for under $2,000, we have the last system, which has the AMD Ryzen 7 7700X alongside the RX 7900 XTX for the GPU, which is a 24 gig of VRAM GPU and one of the best in the whole market. I wouldn't recommend this PC for 1440p. I would recommend you this one if you want to play at 4K on the highest settings and you do not want to spend more than $2,000, because if you want to play at 4K on the highest settings, you can buy the RTX 4090, which is the best GPU for 4K gaming. And don't worry, you will have those PCs with higher budgets in the video description, as I mentioned before. But I believe this is the limit for everyone. Basically, you do not need a 4090. I think this system will be more than enough. You get the Asus TUF Gaming B650 plus Wi-Fi for the motherboard. Then we have a 240mm all-in-one CPU cooler, which will be enough for a Ryzen 7. We have the same 32 gigs of RAM kit. Here we have more storage, 2 TB of Gen 4 SSD, the same case in the Deepcool CG560, and then an 850 watt 80 plus gold power supply that's 80 rated, which is needed for this type of build. One thing I want to mention is that if you're a creator, you're looking to spend more money in the RTX 4080, because the RX 7900 XT, yes, is good for content creation, but if you really want to take content creation to the next level, I recommend you buying the Nvidia version, the 4080. It's going to be more expensive, but it's going to be worth it. So the total price is $1,926 by the time that I'm recording this video, and you're getting a great system for 4K. I wouldn't recommend you getting any better than this, especially if it's not on your budget. If you have just under $2,000, $2,000. Do not try to go over it. You definitely don't need to spend anything more than this for gaming at the highest resolution on the highest settings. Now you might be wondering why didn't I mention Nvidia GPUs on this list, and it's not because I am an AMD fanboy. Actually, my current GPU from my PC build is from Nvidia, but the only reason why I didn't mention those is because I don't think they are good in terms of price to performance right now. But if you want an Nvidia GPU, just let me know in the comment section. I will recommend you the best Nvidia GPU that you can get for the price with your budget and your needs. And if you want a Prebuilt PC, the Prebuilt PC market is great right now. I do recommend you buying a Prebuilt one, especially if you don't want to build it yourself. So you will have my video about the best Prebuilt PCs of the month in the top right of the screen with huge discounts. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for the support, and I will see you on the next one.